get off your ass and go and do it. My name's Aaron Rogers. I'm a director of photography based in London. DOP is a role that is designed to be able to focus on the visuals. So, you know, a director will come to me, show me references, and then it's my job to be able to execute that through camera, lighting, optics, and filtration. The role of a DOP is usually either quite a quiet one or quite a loud one. You know, you spend your time behind the scenes working very, very hard. You get there, you're working very, very hard, and then you walk away, and then the director has to work really, really hard. And the director's worked really hard for the the production, and the post. Whereas we kind of come in for pre and production, that's it. We kind of walk away until the colour grade. My light meter is like, you know, if I didn't have my light meter, it'd be like losing an arm. When you don't work with it beforehand, you don't feel as if you need it, but then the moment you start working with it, you realise the finesse that you can bring to your work. Within the industry, it's sort of considered long form or short form content. Short form includes commercials, music videos, content, short films, live music. Long form is your TV drama, features. So the difference between short form and long form is that in long form you prep, you do endless amounts of prep, and you know the moment you step onto set, you both know what you're doing. In regards to my method on each project, I try to always start with purpose, ultimately, you know, to make sure that both the director and I are going into a project, whether it's a music video or a commercial, with some kind of visual, aesthetic, tone or purpose, so that we are striving towards the same thing. And then it gives us an environment for success, rather than if we didn't have that conversation beforehand, then I would go in, do what I think's best, which, let's be honest, is all subjective, because another DOP would do it completely differently to how I would, and then get it wrong. And then the director goes, oh, actually, that's not what I was thinking. It's like, well, if we had the conversation beforehand, then we wouldn't have had this problem. We wouldn't have wasted 2 hours rigging up loads of lights. So I think, to go back to your question, my method as such doesn't actually change from project to project. It's consistent with my belief system in how I like to be able to create images, and that is by being inspired by what we're creating. The industry as a whole is extraordinarily intense. You know, you spend a vast majority of your life in it. It's also not one of those industries where you can just put 5 or 10 years into it. With that, there is something that I search for, which is probably more cathartic driven, you know, to be able to feel something from the process and understand a new character, and to be able to develop that character with the director and show them in the best, subjective again, but best environment that I can create with lighting and camera movement. So ultimately, yes, it's always the story. It's very easy to get caught up in equipment and the importance of what you're using. For me personally, the camera is the last thing that I think about. It's the lighting style and the atmosphere that we're trying to create first with lighting. Then it's probably optics, so lenses and filtration, and then sensor. I think it's with modern technology now, and obviously it's a hard thing to articulate, but because of the time in which I came up within the industry, I am considered a digital DOP, if that makes sense. You know, I wasn't around when film was the only option. I've been around where film and digital are both options. But because colouring and finishing in post has gotten so good, and the demand for content has gotten so high, I think it's important for a DOP not to be too precious about and too purist about the camera and stuff that they use, because ultimately it's down to the pace in which you can work. The thing is about Brexit as a whole is nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to mean that, you know, we're going to have an influx of more, you know, production companies coming over here or not. It's just the unknown, and I don't think that it's worth. Again, the industry is one, if not, you know, one of the biggest ones that you have to be extraordinarily adaptable in. So you just got to, you know, whatever happens, we've just got to take it in our stride. So there's two sides to the level of content argument, I think, and from my perspective as a user, I struggle to binge. I just don't really like doing it. You know, if someone was to give me a script, it will take me about a week to read it because I see it shot by shot, and it's, you know, quite a long process. So to be able to consume the amount of content that actually is coming at us, I find it quite overwhelming, especially when I go to work and I've got, oh, have you seen this? Oh, have you seen this? Oh, have you seen this? And it's just like, no, I'm still on, you know, Game of Thrones, whatever. But from a filmmaker's perspective, there is, because of the influx in content, I think young filmmakers are really benefiting from it, because someone my age who should still be assisting is able to have a platform as a director of photography already. And that is something that I'm extraordinarily grateful for and aware of. It's not something that I want to be flippant about. I'm very aware that I'm lucky in some respects that I don't have to be a camera trainee, a second assistant, a first assistant, a camera operator, then a DOP, or going up the lighting route and being a spark, a best boy, a gaffer, a DOP. I don't have to do that anymore because of the digital revolution, and with streaming in combination with the two, we can grab a camera and create some pretty beautiful images quite quickly and work that out by ourselves. So it means that there's a lot more voices out there